And we're back. I feel like we just did a quick commercial break and we came back. Yes, week 13, I believe, the NFL. Sorry. Week 13 of the NFL, yesterday, Monday Night Football, huge rivalry. The AFC North. Right? AFC North? Yeah. AFC North. Cincinnati hosting the Steelers. Obviously, a division game. There's always bad blood between these two. It's almost like they hate each other, which they almost, it seems like they do. And it did not look good from the beginning. I think it was in the first quarter. Ryan Shazier suffered what I'm seeing that it's a spinal cord contusion. Don't ask me what the hell that means. But it was a pretty scary injury, especially if you saw it live or if you saw any replays of it. He went in it for the tackle, hit his head on the guy's upper body, and then just immediately reached for his lower back, and then he tried to turn he turned himself over, but then you could just tell his legs kind of went limp, and they weren't moving with him. They weren't moving purposefully with him. It was just kind of, they just moved because he moved his upper body. And right from the beginning, it just didn't look good. So everybody, sending my best wishes to him. Of course, it's like football is such a dangerous sport. I talk to like friends and like my girlfriend about it. It's like, it's so fun to watch, but damn, if you put yourself like just from an outside perspective and not just a fanboy or just, or even a player's perspective, you see that it's really, really dangerous. These guys are out there tackling each other, right? Like the main purpose is to not let the other team score by tackling. So you see a lot of these injuries, unfortunately. So yeah, prayers up to Ryan Shazier. Hopefully he's doing better. Actually, I think the last thing that was reported, I think he did gain some movement and feeling in his legs, but it was diagnosed as a spinal cord contusion. So yeah, whatever that means, I just hope the best for him, and hopefully he's able to walk again. Forget about football for a second. Hopefully he's able to walk again. And yeah, after that, I just didn't have the stomach to watch just football. You kind of detach yourself from the game, and I honestly don't know how either of those teams had it in them to keep going. Sure, blah, blah, like, oh, you're a man, right? We can get all into that. And, oh, they're getting paid millions of dollars. But after seeing something like that, you would think it's fresh on their minds and you would want to go out there. So, yeah, I kind of stopped watching mid-second quarter, and I didn't obviously finish the rest of it. But I did see, and I'm seeing now, that the Steelers won 23-20. When I was watching, I think it was like 10-0. The Bengals were leading in the first quarter. I saw the first half, 17-3. Boswell hit that field goal right before the half. You can just tell the Steelers players weren't in the first half, rightfully so. And then I guess I stopped watching, and the Steelers pulled up a late win, scoring 13 and holding the Bengals scoreless in the fourth. So I think the AFC North is all but wrapped up, really. And then moving right along, I think the main event on Sunday night, right? Sunday Night Football pretty much implies it's the main event. Seahawks hosting Carson MVP Wentz. And the Seahawks, Seahawks look good. Without Cam Chancellor, without Richard Sherman, and Russell Wilson doing it on basically like no protection at all, right? You're talking, he's getting drilled back there. and they managed to pull off a 20-10 victory. I mean, look, I think Russell Wilson, although he's not getting much MVP talk, you could argue that without him, that team goes nowhere, really. I know they have great defense, but even with, let's say, Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor were there, how far do they really go without a quarterback or without Russell Wilson? I'm just saying. I think Russell Wilson should be talked about a little bit more, especially in the MVP race. Eagles side of things, I thought it was going to be a much closer game. I thought Eagles were... I mean, they have a few injuries, but overall their core guys are there, right? You have LeGarrette Blount and Ajayi. I hope I said that right. It sounds like some hot sauce. Ajayi. Maybe ahi tuna. Maybe not. Whatever. That tandem, and then you have Alshon Jeffrey and obviously Carson Wentz. He made some ridiculous Aaron Rodgers-like throws. Yes, I'm throwing that one in there. But they were great throws nonetheless. Giants, after benching Eli, lose to the Raiders and fired Ben McAdoo. But I guess Eli's starting again now next week. Could you? Oh man, I'd be so pissed if I was Eli. You're talking about these dudes broke my... It's not a record, but a streak of like 200, I think it was 8 games of consecutive starts, and they just benched me for 1 week, fire the dude that benched me, and then put me back on quarterback, and oh man, I'd be mad. Rams 32-16 against the Cardinals. I didn't watch much of that game, but the Rams are looking to stay... I think they're at top of the NFC West. So that was a big win, especially after Seahawks winning. Let's go now to Green Bay Packers. My beloved Green Bay Packers needed this. This was basically win or die. This was it. If they lost, I think the chances of making the playoffs were slim to none. Mathematically, they would have still been in it, but they would have just had a lot of other dominoes to fall in order for them to make the playoffs. And look, Brett Hundley didn't play great. I think he had like 80-something yards. 84 yards and 1 interception. And they still managed to get it done. Defense played well. The running backs, Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones, boy, am I excited for those two. I think with those two emerging, maybe perhaps Ty Montgomery could go back to wide receiver. I always liked Ty Montgomery at wide receiver, sometimes in the slot. I think he was a big, strong receiver. So that would be an interesting move. Maybe they start putting him out there if and when Aaron Rodgers returns, which is looking like not this week versus the Browns, but the game versus Carolina, which Carolina being in that wild card spot, it's gonna be a huge game, I think, for both teams, right? Vikings go into Atlanta and hold Matt Ryan in that offense to 9 points. 9. Last year they were arguably one of the greatest ever, right? One of the greatest offenses ever, but this year they just haven't seemed to be clicking in it. And look, it doesn't... It's... I feel like that was like an anomaly for the Falcons. It's not something that's going to transcend throughout Matt Ryan's career. He's not going to throw for 5,000 yards, complete 70% of his passes, throw like 40 touchdowns and no picks, basically. So yeah, I think last year was an anomaly, and I don't think it was going to be duplicated, really. Maybe if you were Falcons fans, you had really, really high hopes and thought, yeah, we're going to go back to the Super Bowl, although it's never happens like that. So yeah, Vikings look good. I think they probably, I don't know if mathematically, but you could say they wrapped up the NFC North, unless they haven't announced it. And yeah, hey, Case Keenum, 2 touchdowns on the road. Maybe that guy's an MVP. Who knows?